I love but will not be using. For a while now, I have been meaning to get a video out for you all and to kind of elaborate on the names that we loved for our children and why we didn't choose them and why we chose the names that we did. Then I saw this tag going around and I was like, this is the perfect way to do it. So let's jump into it. First of all, I will start with the 5 boy names that I love, and then I will do the 5 girl names that I love. So the first boy's name that I absolutely love is Flynn, and I adore this name. I would go as far to say that this is probably my favourite name of all time. This is the name that I love the most. I begged my husband to let me call Grayson Flynn. I begged and then I said to him, well, you know what, once you watch me go through labour, you're going to want to let me call him whatever I like. So I was like, this little boy's name is going to be Flynn. And I went through what I did and I looked up at my husband with this newborn and I was like, can we call him Flynn? And he's like, no. He just straight out did not like the name. Look who I've got with me today. He doesn't want to sit beside me, so he's here. So I straight out was told no, I could not call him Flynn, and I was absolutely gutted. I think that is the most cutest name, and I think that if I for some reason had gone through his pregnancy alone, or I was on my own to name him, his name would be Flynn. That would be what your name would be. It would be Flynn. So my second boy's name that I love but will never use is Maddox, and this is pretty much for the same reason. While I was pregnant, I watched a YouTube video of a mum that named her baby Maddox, and I was like, oh, I have to have it. If I can't have Flynn, I'm going to have Maddox. My husband's like, no, you're not. Honestly, he was a pain to try and name my children with. My third favourite name that I will never be using though is Corbin. Now, Corbin has a real strong meaning to me. That was actually Bentley's original name. When I found I was pregnant with another little boy, we had Jayden, and I was very OCD about all my names matching. So I searched and searched for a name that would match Jayden's name, and I came across Corbin, and we would have spelled it K-O-R-B-Y-N. Written side by side, I thought they looked neat, they sounded neat together, Jayden and Corbin. They both had the Y's, they both had the N's, and I just thought the J and the K and just all of that, I thought it all suited. So we called Bentley Corbin when he was first born for about 24 hours, I guess. Now, we didn't publicise this as such, but on my own, like when I was in the hospital, I called him Corbin and I got used to it, and then when my husband came in, I'm like, we're going to call him Corbin. But in the end, I actually really wanted to call him Bentley. I couldn't let the Bentley name go, and so in the end I did give up Corbin. But that is kind of a special name to me because I feel like, yeah, that name was sort of what Bentley was known to us during my pregnancy. My fourth baby boy name that I will never use but I absolutely love is Jason. The reason I love this was because this was Jayden's original name. So I was on my own when I was pregnant with Jayden, and I watched a movie called Riding in Cars with Boys with Drew Barrymore, if you've seen that, and it's about a mum with a bit of a no-hoper partner, and it's pretty much just her and her little boy Jason. And I kind of felt, because I was on my own and pregnant with this little boy, I just felt it rang so true to us, and I was like, I want my own little Jason. This is my own little Jason. So I was going to name him that, Jayson, which was very different compared to the names I like now. It's very old-fashioned, but I felt like the way I was writing it was a little bit more modern. And the reason I didn't actually call him Jason in the very end was because I met a group of friends and one of them was called Jason, and I kind of just felt in the long run, I don't know, I wanted my baby to have his own name, and I now knew this Jason and all that type of stuff, and to me it just didn't work out. But I really love the name Jason. I would never use it now because of what I've called my boys now. I feel like it would never ring with these boys' names. But yeah, that was Jayden's original name. So the fifth and final boys' name that I love but will never be using. Actually, I have so many boys' names that I love. I think being pregnant with boys, you go through so many names, you hear so many names. But the fifth one that we absolutely loved but will never be using is Zan. Now this is a little bit different, and I think that's why we didn't use it, and I kind of wish I didn't let people's the way people think about my name choices affects me, but it did. So we came up with Zan. I knew Zan from school and I loved the name and I thought it looked really neat. So it's spelled Xaan. When I mentioned it to my partner and my mum, they all both loved it, and we did run with it as one of our name choices for Grayson. However, as we got nearer the end and I was mentioning it to people, people were like, oh, that's weird, that's different. And I just let it get to me too much, I think. Also, the spelling, we had a bit of difficulty how to spell it. I love the Xaan, but we kind of like, well, people always think that it's Xan, kind of like Xavier, Xan. I'd hate for him to be named, like called that, because that wouldn't be the name. So we did think about calling him Zarne, which is a bit more clearer, but I don't know, I just couldn't let go of the old spelling. And in the end, in the hospital, when I first had him, we did say, you know, does he look like a Zan? And I kind of felt like he did, but in the end I was just like, what are people going to say? People aren't going to like it. I wish I hadn't let them influence me, but it did. So that is why we will never use that name, because I don't know, I just don't want people going, oh, I don't like his name. I don't know. So those are the 5 boys' names I absolutely love but will never be using. Now, the top 5 girls' names that I love and will never be using, there's so many, because I have spent 8 years thinking up girls' names and had all boys. So there is quite a few, but my top 5. So the first name I absolutely love is Leah. The reason I love this is because I think that's what Jayden's name would have been. When I was pregnant with him, it was just up to me what I called my baby, and I really loved Leah. I hadn't heard it very often, and I just thought it was so pretty. And obviously then when he was a boy, I just didn't have to come up with a girl's name, but I think his name would have been Leah. I think it's very cute. The second girl's name that I love but will never be using is Brayley. Now this is a name that we thought up for Bentley when I was pregnant with him, until we found out that he was a boy. It's kind of just a name that I made up. I was just sitting there one day kind of going through sounds in my head, and I said to my husband, what about Brayley? And he's like, yeah, that's really nice, but we couldn't use that, but I think that is very cute. The third girl's name I love but will never be using, and I think there's a little bit of an exaggeration saying we'll never be using it, because I think if we fell pregnant with a girl, it may be one of the top names we considered, but it would be Savannah. Now, Savannah is a name that we also came up with Bentley, and we were just like, yes, that's the babe's name, Savannah. Probably Savannah Lee, hyphenated, but obviously we didn't have to use it again. But that is one name that even when I fell pregnant with Grayson, we were like, oh, you remember Savannah? And my husband's like, yep. So that is a name that I absolutely love, and I think it could be something we would consider if we ever happen to have a girl, but I really don't think we will be. Fourth girl's name I love but will never be using is Charlotte. We came up with this before Princess Charlotte. Again, like all these names, they're just names that we had for these boys. I thought we'd have Charlotte, would have our little Charlie, and we thought it was very pretty, very elegant for our little girl. We really loved girly names, and I just thought it would be, I thought we'd just have the boys and then we'd have our little Charlotte. There are so many different names I could say for number 5, but I'll just go with one. It is Indiana. I loved those kind of names when I was trying to think of girls' names for Grayson if he had been a girl. And I really wanted long names that could be shortened to very pretty names. So we came up with Indiana, and she would have been known as Indy. And there was a few other names which obviously I shouldn't say right now because of that's not how this tag works. But yes, we had so many different names like that were long, elegant names. I thought were very cute and very girly. They could be shortened to even prettier names. So Indiana was one of the top ones that I had on my list, and she would have been known as Indy. So that was my top 10 baby names that I love but will never get to use. I need to go and get this little boy fed and off to bed. He is cranky. So I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.